Welcome again to Success Thought. This is Dr. Herbert Harris bringing you another edition of Success Talk. And this is the program where we talk with people who've accomplished incredible things, but who have faced odds, astronomical odds, challenging odds to keep them from being what they want to be, doing what they want to do, but they were able to overcome, they were able to make a breakthrough and become exactly the person they desired to be. So today we have my good friend Bryce Britton, and Bryce has so many hats, so many accolades, so many things that he's done. You'll learn more about him, but I want to just welcome him to Success Talk because I've always admired you, Bryce. You're one of the few young men that I've ever met who was an engineer who drove a train, who was, who was a trained engineer.
Yeah.
And so that always stood out in my mind because that's a singular thing. I don't know were there a lot of other brothers who were engineers?
Wasn't many.
Wasn't many. Yeah.
Wasn't
Wow.
many.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thank you. Welcome to Success Talk. And let me just give us a little background about yourself, Bryce. Where do you come from? Your family, your early education? Little capsule.
Well, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Born and raised. Been here most of my life. Grew up and branched out. Went to the military for a little while. That was what was that? 1999. I
Mm-hmm.
went into the military. Stayed until '03. That was in the Air Force. Came out. Bumped into the railroad life. Did that for a few years, for many years actually. And just started progressing on to more things. And you know, as long as I'm alive, I'm gonna keep moving forward. And new leaves grow from this tree.
Beautiful.
You never know what them leaves gonna look like. Life continues, man.
Well, we always
Uh,
say, keep going and growing.
I like that. I like that.
Well, how did you get into the train thing? Because I'm serious, Bryce. You're the only
Okay.
brother I've ever met who did that.
Well, you know what? A lot of things, man. I just go through windows. I call it.
Mm-hmm.
I see opportunity, and I'm not the kind of guy that turns away from opportunity. When I see
Mm.
opportunity, I walk towards it,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take a genius to walk through a window. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And that's just what I've been doing my whole life. I see opportunity, I step through the window and explore. And that's how I went down with the railroad. I
Mm-hmm.
heard some guys talking about it. I was bartending at the time, and sound pretty cool. Sound like the money was pretty good. And they told me they were hiring and everything. I looked into it, and I walked through that window.
Mm.
I got
Mm.
hired. I got hired pretty quick actually, because come to find out that they were the military is. I'm sorry, the railroad is military friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I applied, they pretty much called me like within a week. The guys that told me about it, they would say it take a while. They was on the list for a while to get called and everything, but they called me within a week, and you know, now everything is history after that. That's how I
Mm.
became a railroader. You know,
Yeah.
and I used to say that myself, being out there, like, what I got myself into. And at first I was just looking at it like it's a job, like until I find something else, until I become a rapper. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But
Yeah.
it ended up being some good work, and I did it for a good little while, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
a good occupation. I recommend people to take a look into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Wow.
yep. And that's the background with the railroad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And typically, what I found out while I was in there, a lot of that is just prior to the internet
Mm-hmm.
phase. That was kind of just like a pass me down job, like from grandfather to son, was father to son to his son, and down the lineage.
Mm.
From what I observed, a lot of people, a lot of guys my age and younger will say that their fathers and grandfathers were railroaders and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a new world for me. But same thing with the military. The military is a new world. Everything is new when you walk through the windows until it's not new. And then you step through another window.
Well, I like the vision you print there, and I think that's important. As we do our interview, I like to hit little, I call them learning points. And you said
Mm-hmm.
you see a window. Life is like a window, and you see an opportunity through the window, and you step up and take advantage of it. That's a powerful thought, man. A lot of people
Right.
see opportunity. One of the word poor, Poor, one of the
Mm.
definitions is passing over opportunities repeatedly.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Boy, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, passing
Passing over
over
opportunities repeatedly.
repeatedly. Yeah, poor.
I
And
like that.
that's why many people
Poor.
stay poor. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you know what? Those
Mhm.
windows are constantly opening. Like
Yes.
it might sound weird, but it's not. You know, you can miss a window. You can be like, "Dag, man, I ain't make it through that window." You can be a little discouraged, but just chill until another window open. Don't beat yourself up because you missing windows. Windows will always be open, and you just gotta be. You just have to not be poor.
That's right. Don't be poor. I
Don't
like
be
that,
poor.
man. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, so many of our young people, and I think this is going to be an inspiration to them because so many of them get hung up in seeing an opportunity and think about what they don't have.
Mhm.
Okay. Or what if it doesn't work out? When many times I love the term stepping out on faith, where you say, let me follow this trail and see where it leads me.
Right.
Mm.
And you know what? I like that you said that too, Mr. Harris. That's something I've been thinking about quite frequently lately, stepping out on faith. And what comes to mind now, and I'm not a super religious person, I do
Hmm.
understand spirituality. And
Hmm.
to me, what stepping out on faith is now for me, it's
Hmm.
not it's not a it's not an invisible ground anymore after you realize and what I mean by the invisible ground, I get the visual stepping out on faith is like, people stepping off a mountain and hopefully you don't fall. You
Hmm.
know, it's not that faith is no longer an invisible ground, is what I'm saying. It's like,
Hmm.
it's like the Michael Jack. I feel like it's the Michael Jackson bricks that light up for me now. If I gotta walk somewhere without a ground, I
Hmm.
know the Michael Jackson blocks go light up for me wherever I walk, if that make
Mm.
any sense.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
can be a cliff. It can be a cliff. But if I walk out there knowing, understanding the universal laws and how the universe work now that I get it, now that I didn't exercise the understanding, exercise the knowledge, is not it's not like a what do they call it? Like a blind faith anymore. It's like
Hmm.
it ain't blind. I don't have
Hmm.
a blind faith. I see it. I know what's about to happen if I step out there. I'm gonna make it happen if I step out there because
Mm.
if that's what I believe, if that's what I visualize, I didn't did it so much in life now. Like my confidence is up. Like I know I can do that. Like
Mm.
okay, it's no ground right there. Well, watch this,
Yes.
and I just I step over there and go to Home Depot and grab some stuff to make a new ground. And walk across that.
Yes.
So that vision was like me going to Home Depot and getting the products and
Uh-huh.
the stuff to make that to make myself walk across this
That's it.
invisible road is what I'm saying.
To, to build
Like you
your
can see it,
bridge.
you can visualize like, okay, yeah, it's a gap right here now, but in
Yes.
my mind it's not.
Yes.
In
Well,
reality, it might be a
mhm.
gap, but in my mind, I see how I can get across there if I built this type of bridge. So therefore, you see what I'm saying? The Michael
Yeah.
Jackson blocks. I can just
Yeah.
walk across. Like, oh, I know how to do that. I can do it right now.
There you go. Well,
You know?
I love that thought because preparation, in other words, you've learned like for example, becoming an engineer, you had to learn all the basics. Yeah.
Mm,
You made this transference. Now you're a videographer and a producer. and before you stepped out, you learned all the things you needed to know. You
You
had your
have to.
basics. It's like basic training. They don't just give you a uniform and a gun and say go for yourself.
Right. Right.
you know, you go through basic training so that you learn the basics of the game, of the Army, of the Air Force, and with the engineering, with the train, you went through a basic training there to learn how to do what you had to do. And so many times in life, many times people want to jump ahead of the basic training. you know, they don't put
They
in the
want to
work.
run before they you got to crawl before you walk, right?
That's it. They want to run before they crawl. They
Yeah.
jump straight out the wound and want to head for the track. Like,
They
no, you
want to
got
head for the meet. They want to head for the track meet, huh? The
yeah.
100
Oh
yard
yeah.
dash.
Yeah. You haven't learned to crawl yet, brother.
And they and
yeah.
they and they got baby giraffe legs trying to run 100, like your legs ain't strong enough to run that.
Yeah.
You got to build it up. And that's all I was saying as far as um, the faith part.
Yeah.
Is no longer blind, because I know how to use faith now.
Yeah.
Faith is not like faith is almost tangible now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, spiritually, they say faith is the substance of things hoped for and the
Mm,
evidence of things not seen. And so you hope for it, you desire it. You may not see it manifesting, but that's what stepping out on faith means, that although I don't see it out there before me, I
mhm.
know if I put one foot in front of the other, I'll get there. Mm,
That's big facts. You know what? I want to share a quick story.
sure.
Um, um, it was funny, like with this mobile studio I got going. It's something I've been building in my mind for a long time, and I actually put it on the back burner because some life situations that popped up. But I was just telling my old lady, um, I was like, you know what? I swear to God, this is what I said. I was like, you know what? Um, that van and everything that I was prepping for, even though I didn't took another route, I was like, I got to get ready for that because I didn't put too much thought into it, and I know that the universe go deliver it. I know it's
Mm,
gonna deliver it because I put way too much thought into it, and over time I've seen that happen. Like what you put out is going to come to you. You don't know when.
yes.
The universe got a lot of deliveries to make. You see what I'm saying? But I guess whatever it depends on, if you put out enough energy of what you actually want, it's coming your way. It's
Yes.
it, it's coming. So if you change your mind, whatever that was, some of that is still coming your way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and, and I knew that, and when I told my old lady that, I found my truck that next week, man.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yo, I told you. I was like, what I tell you? I
Uh-huh.
wasn't even looking for it. I wasn't even looking for it. A lot of stuff. I just wait. I just put in my order like mentally, and then those windows come to me now. It's kind of like some AI type stuff. Those
Mm-hmm.
windows that I used to
Yeah.
just wait to pop up,
Yes.
I can kind of just, you know, I can see them now, and it's like, I can choose what windows. Now more windows come to you as you realize how accessible they are.
Mm.
If that make any sense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the whole power of vision. You can see beyond what is to what you want it to be. One of the
Yeah,
things as I watched you go through your transition, now you moved from the railroad into the videography. How
yeah.
was that transition? What was your thinking on that? Was that something you always wanted to do?
Um, it actually was something I always wanted to do. I forgot that it was something I always wanted to do, but when it was just a random day, I was downtown Cleveland getting some paperwork done or something, and I seen, young brother like myself, and he was with a camera crew, and they was recording some event, and I was like, that looked pretty dope.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
that's all it took. That's all it took.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that looked pretty dope. I want to do that, and I went and pursued it. I started digging into, you know, um, what it takes to become what I saw that guy doing. And that, that
Uh-huh.
was, he don't know, I don't even know this guy. He don't
Uh,
know I'm talking about him right now. I just
right.
seen the back of his head and him looking through a camera and the atmosphere that he was recording. And I was like, this is pretty dope. I can see myself doing something like that.
Wow.
And so I started digging, I grabbed my shovel and started digging. But when I was a kid, I always wanted a camera, but I couldn't get it. My parents ain't get it for me. I used to be like, yo, Mom, Dad, can I get this camera for Christmas? And I never got it. I remember the little dudes up the street had got it. I was a little jealous. They had the camera I wanted because I had all these visions of recording things, and
Uh-huh.
it just never happened. And even through high school, something was just telling me commercials. I always wanted to do commercials. I thought, I like people. I like commercials because it's like quick, witty, to the point.
Uh-huh.
It has some humor in it, has
Yes.
some real messaging to it, and it's selling a product. I think
Yes.
that's something that's something my mind can do forever.
Mm.
So I'm
Wow.
pursuing that, and then it's taking form. It's
Well,
definitely
that
taking form.
well, that's a powerful life lesson. You know how when you keep a thought in your mind, something you want to be, I think as children we often have dreams, and then as we grow up, as they say, we become aware of the real world, which really ain't the real world at all. The only world that
Ah,
exists is in your mind.
say it again. Say it
That's it,
again.
brother. The only
Yeah,
world that truly exists is in your mind. Yeah. But
like that.
we start out, with just visions and imagination, and in the world and parents and society can try to put you in a box, but keep keep your dream. Don't let it go away. And some I love when you saw somebody else doing it. It was almost like it stimulated something that had been there all along.
Yep. Yep.
And so to our listeners, what's your dream? What's that thing that's been there all along that you've been wanting to do, wanting to be, wanting to have all your life, and now it's possible? Wow. Yeah. Now you went to school now, and I want to cover that because many times people will see a dream and want to go for it, but you still have to put in the work. You got to learn the skills. You got to go through that basic training. How was
Yeah.
that for you?
Um, it's always rough. It's always challenging. Um, I know I know my learning habits. I can
Mm-hmm.
get distracted real easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that about myself, and yeah, I know my weaknesses in certain areas, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be aware of your weaknesses and push through it. Don't get discouraged. And just if you strong, test your strength. If you
Mm.
if you feel that you strong, then test your strength, and it not just with your physical. You got to work out everything. If you truly claim to be a strong person,
Yeah.
you got to work on the stuff that you know is weak about
Mhm.
yourself. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell myself. I'm not the best computer savvy guy. I want to get better with my videos.
Uh-huh.
I want to get better with my editing. I think I'm pretty dope, but I want to get way better.
Mhm.
And that just you got to understand and accept that things take time. Though, don't
Mm.
go off in nobody else's time. Go
Mhm.
go at your pace. You got to go at your pace, because
Yes.
when you don't go at your pace, you're going at somebody else's pace, and it's that simple. And it's not. That's the way they might learn. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? They
Right.
might be
Right.
catching on, so they go be advancing past you, going at their pace.
Yes. Yes.
But if you go at your own pace, you go endure. You go taste everything.
Yeah.
You go taste all the ingredients,
Yes.
instead of like we talking about basic training. People,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't much tasting in basic training, and you had to
Uh-huh.
scarf your food down. But
Uh-huh.
um, you know, I want people to understand that you gotta taste. You got to go through the tasting process and not just swallow the information,
Uh-huh.
and it just goes away. You ain't tasting it if you just gouging the information and getting bits and pieces of understanding here and there. Again, if you're going at somebody else's pace, you
Yeah.
go slow, take
Yeah.
your time. And my thing, what made me invincible, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion,
Uh-huh.
what has made me invincible on this planet is that I failed so many times in life that I no longer fear failing, and also I usually end up winning somehow when I fail. Like
Mm.
failing got a lot of treats. Like failing got a lot of great benefits that made me greater than the winners, the so-called winners.
Mm-hmm.
You not that it's even a race.
Yeah.
You winning when you gain understanding of self.
Mm.
So that's how you win. It ain't you only in competition with yourself. It ain't. So that's why I say go at your own pace, because going
Mm.
at somebody else's pace, you
Yeah.
ain't doing you. You ain't doing you at
You're
that
not
point.
doing you. Those are some real nuggets. I tell you, Bryce, those are some serious nuggets, and the kind of nuggets that you learn from experience.
Yeah,
Certain things, they can tell you something, and that's fine. But when you learn it yourself, when you learn it by doing it, it's a whole nother level of
it's a
learning.
whole nother level. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, I've always number one admired you and been so appreciative of the words and the recording you made about the 12 universal laws of success. How did that book come to your attention? And where were you in your life when that happened?
Oh man, I got to give you the short story of that. That can get real deep. Um, yeah, man. Well, let me say it, man. Let me say it. I, I, that book came to my mind. I didn't even know what universal laws were. I didn't know
Hmm.
what it was. I just
Uh-huh.
something was saying universal law,
Mm.
and at that time, my daughter, was on the way,
Hmm.
and I wanted to give her something, some type of spiritual understanding without, because I'm not a religious person, so I don't identify with any specific religious group. Though I understand religion, not knocking any religion,
Hmm.
but I definitely understand religion. But my thoughts didn't align with everything that religion speaks. So I was trying to find something that I can show my daughter,
Hmm.
that aligns with how I think, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find nothing like it, But something just kept saying universal law. I was looking like a crazy person, like what's universal law? What is that?
Hmm.
Like what is this? And I just started digging into it, and laws of attraction, and I just had this something came over me, man. I was just in Barnes and Nobles. I was in all kind of different bookstores on the railroad. My off time on the railroad, we'd be in hotels a lot. A lot of people a lot of the railroaders sit in a hotel for hours until we called out again. Me, I was in
Uh-huh.
the library. I'll walk through the snow and everything and just be in the library or Barnes and Nobles searching for whatever this universal law thing is I keep hearing. You know what I'm saying? So um, I ran across some books. I don't remember the authors and everything, but I went across a lot of books, and a lot of them, there's a lot of information out there about the laws of attraction and
Hmm.
things of that nature. But some just like an album. A lot of people make music that they might be talented artists. I just ain't feeling it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like more power to you and your audience and everything, but I just wasn't feeling a lot of the books. So I was starting to get discouraged, but that my discouragement was like motivating. I was like, you know what? I'm about to just whatever's telling me universal law. If it just keep telling me, I'm gonna just write it myself then and see what the whatever these thoughts are. But I was digging and came across your book, Mr. Harris. I came across your book, and when I check this out, when I opened that book, man, and just started reading it, it was like drinking water, man. It was like drinking water. All the other books I had, if you can see from a aerial view. I used to have books all around me sitting on the floor at the
Mm-hmm.
library, Barnes and Nobles, just just digging, man. And laws of attraction, universal law, Esther Hicks. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm digging, man. And I came across your book, and like I say, it was like a glass of water. It was what I was looking for. I was like, I didn't know this is what it was, but this is it. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like a relief because I was like, now I ain't got to write no book. I was like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I didn't even know, and I didn't even know a lot of things. I didn't know who you were. I just knew the book was dope. I was like, man, this is the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I did I was rapping and stuff at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going on the railroad a lot, so the railroad had a lot to do with me making that audio,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll be gone from my daughter a lot, so I wanted to have a recording, and since I can't read to her every night because she was a baby,
Uh-huh.
and me and her mother wasn't on the best terms, so I was like, yo, let me put this on, let me record this so my daughter can like hear this at night. And even when she's with me in bed,
Wow.
I understand the subconscious
Yeah.
aspect of teaching. So I would play that, while she's in her crib or, sleep at night,
Mm-hmm.
get used to my voice, because I'm
Mm.
gone. Um, that book had a lot to do with a lot of things, man. So, and it just started turning because I know I add a lot of flavor to the milk. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So, uh, um, as I was doing the project, I'm like more ideas was coming. Like, oh, I can do this. This would be dope too.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
it just started coming to be. And I'm like, this thing's so dope. I gotta tell this guy. Like,
Uh-huh.
who is this doctor? I gotta talk to this man.
Uh-huh.
I gotta holler at him because this is too dope for him not to know.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I was like, let me reach out to who this Mr. Harris is. And, you know, uh, uh, that's when me and you reached
And
back
then,
out. I had made
uh-huh.
that one specific
Audio.
audio telling you about everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you reached back out, man. And then we got to talking. And then you told me that you wrote the book in Cleveland. And you was a brother too. I didn't even know you was black. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even
Yeah.
know. I was like, whoever this is, I got to reach out.
Uh-huh.
and and then see that you cool as I don't know what, man. You cool and intelligent, man. So I'm like, oh, I want to be like this dude. You an
Uh-huh.
inspiration, big time. And
Wow.
you still got the dance moves to this day. You know what I'm saying? So you was a super big inspiration, man. You my
Yeah.
mentor, man. And
Wow.
so to top it off, to throw the cherry on top, after me and you didn't establish our relationship, and you came out with that second edition, and
Uh-huh.
requested, asked, if I could be in that. That was such an honor, man.
Yes. Yes.
And I always compare it. I compare it to the Never Ending Story.
Mm.
You ever heard of that movie back in the day? It came out like in the '80s.
Uh-huh.
It was a book of a young man. Well, it was a movie of a young man. Uh, it was for kids to encourage kids to read.
Mm-hmm.
And this little boy, he had got trapped in the attic at his school because he was hiding from bullies. These bullies used to bully him and stuff. So he
Mm.
hid in the school, and the school closed, and they locked the door. And all he had in the attic that he was locked in was this book. It was called The Never Ending Story.
Mm.
And it's like this magical book. And he got real deep into the book. And as he's reading the book, the movie was him like in the characters that he was reading about in the book, that was the movie. But
Mm.
they'd go back to him every now and again,
Uh-huh.
showing that he's reading a book that the movie we're actually watching.
Right.
So, make a long story short, at the end of the movie, he was actually in the book because he was
Wow.
so like the book was so good to him. He was actually in the book at the end of
Uh-huh.
the movie. So he was with all of the characters that he
Uh-huh.
was reading about. And now, that movie was to encourage kids to read more. Like, cause
Mm-hmm.
when you read, you feel like you actually a part of the movie when you
Yeah.
read.
Wow.
So with that being said, to have gone through that, from digging through the books, my daughter, making a recording, it turned into something else to, reaching out to you. And then you say, you a brother, you wrote it in Cleveland. And then the second edition, it's like the never ending story, man.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite movies growing up as a little boy.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
So,
something. Yeah.
man, it's like the never ending story, man. I'm in the book, which, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, yo, that's overwhelming to this day. To this day.
Wow.
Um, it's
Yeah.
a big story of mine. I won't mind telling. If you ask me again, I'll start all over from the beginning.
Well, you know something, right? It's funny, man. Would
Don't
you
ask
tell
me again. Don't ask me again. I got, you know, I'll tell it again. I've been telling it for years now.
Well, I tell you, we're gonna get back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But that story, very interesting. When I was living in Cleveland, this this uh this African American lady had a school up in Detroit,
Uh-huh.
and it was a private school, and she was a retired teacher, and she was unhappy with the type of education the kids were getting in the school system, and so
Mm-hmm.
she started her own school, and she got some a number of folks kind of invested. It wasn't an investment; it was like contributed, really. And
Mm-hmm.
so she reached out to me. She found the book. She contacted me and asked me to come up there to Detroit and do some training. And I came up and I spent a weekend there doing the seminar. I broke some of the things in the book down to like middle school level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was phenomenal. Anyway, this I stayed there that weekend, and that Sunday night, the police called her, and she reached out to me. She said, you know, if you don't mind, Mr. Harris, she said, this the police called me to come over to the school. It's late, and I didn't want to go by myself. So can I pick you up? So I was staying at a motel. She picked me up. We go to the school, and someone had broken into the school,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody saw some lights inside, called the cops. And so we get over there, and before the cops went in, you know, they I guess wanted some permission. Anyway, we got there, and the cops finally went in, and they found a student who'd been living in the school the whole year.
Mm.
And you know, he'd go out like everybody else, and then he'd duck back in and hide up in the attic. That's what
Wow.
he said that. And then
Wow.
once they locked up, he stayed there. But this, for whatever reason, he had the light on, and somebody saw it, and it just brought us to tears, man. He said he was virtually homeless, and
Wow.
you know what he said? He said he didn't intend to stay there at the school. He said he ran away from home, but nobody came to look for him. And so all
Wow.
this time he'd been staying there, nobody reported him missing, nobody anything. I don't know what the follow-up story was, because you know, I'm sure the authorities want to know, well, who is your mother and why is it your mother hasn't said anything about you being gone for months?
It's
But
a
when
lot
you
of that.
said that story, man, it really brought that back, and that was one of those, you know, sometime in life things happen that make you just there's nothing you can do but just tear up and cry.
Yeah,
Eh,
man.
eh,
That's sad.
yeah, there are no words there. Even the cops, and the cop wasn't that friendly, you know, frankly. But when the boy was telling his story, and the cop just teared up, I'm like, man, everybody,
The cop teared up too?
the cop teared up too.
Oh man. Oh man. I can see,
You know, so
I can see that.
yeah, one of those things,
Man.
man. But
Wow.
you know, I consider you an expert on the book. Is there any particular section that really jumps out at you or that you found very useful to yourself?
Um, what 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 comes to mind immediately is worry.
Mm,
You know, I forget exactly how it goes, but worry does absolutely nothing for the situation.
right.
You know, don't worry, be happy, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
So to eliminate worry, um, it it gives you a higher sense of focus.
Mm,
When worry, I mean, you still that's a natural urge that might kick in,
mm-hmm.
but to identify it and understand that it does nothing. you can put it at bay and focus on what need to be done to
Mm,
eliminate that worry. You see what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? Like whatever you're worrying about, what can you do about it instead of worrying about it?
Right. Because
And if there's
worrying
nothing
ain't
that
gonna
can be
change,
done,
and worrying ain't gonna change it.
it
Yep.
ain't gonna change it. So that that pops up in my mind on a daily basis.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Hey, don't worry about it. It gives me more focus. It gives me more time to think about whatever I'm worried about
Mm,
and find solutions instead of somebody that might worry and worry can prolong things.
mm-hmm.
You know, worrying too long. I mean, you worrying about something, you can take forever because you're so worried instead of taking action. And that
Yeah.
worry can be eliminated from the thought process to eliminate whatever that solution may come to be to eliminate that worry. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing that come to mind. Eliminate worry. You can't do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it moving forward. Wait for another window to open up.
Wait for that. I hear you. Well, as I see you living your life, a lot of times people read the book, but I've seen in watching you go from the transition from being, a dad and going through all of that experience to going through the situations where you move from the engineering into the videography. As I see that, I think one chapter that you have been living is the chapter of vision. It's clear that you have a vivid imagination and a vision that's
Mm,
driving you.
facts. That's
Yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same thing with what was telling me about universal law.
Uh-huh.
That's just that's my radio.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
to me that's the that's that spirit that I converse with on a daily basis. Guiding me like, yo, go here. It used to be a quiet voice. Now it's louder. It gets louder, and you realize that's just the guide.
yeah.
It's the guide, the God, whatever you want to call it.
But think about this. It may be the same voice, but you're listening more attentively.
Yeah, 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 real,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. It ain't muffled out no more. I was like, let me listen to this guy. Let me see what he's
yeah,
saying. He sounds just like me.
yeah, yeah. Well, Bryce, when you look back over your life and the various, like the changes that you've gone through, what are one or two of the biggest challenges that you've had? Let's just say two of the biggest challenges that you've had, and how did you get through them?
The two of the biggest challenges. Let me see. A lot of things is challenges for me, Mr. Harris. I ain't that good at a lot of things,
Mm,
but I end up getting good just because I know I might be weak in something. So,
mm,
um, this videography is a challenge. I ain't have a clue what I was doing. I just knew it was something I could do.
mm-hmm.
Um, Being a father is a challenge. Being um, ask me that question one more time.
Yeah.
One of one of life's biggest challenges.
Uh-huh.
Like I say, it's a lot of things. Nothing specific comes to mind though. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Now,
I challenge myself. It's hard to answer that because I challenge myself daily.
daily. Well,
I challenge myself to
yeah.
wake up early. I challenge myself, to read more. I challenge myself to study, um, technical analysis
Mm-hmm.
more, and I'm always challenging myself. Um,
Well, maybe
so
think of it.
that's kind of hard. That's
Well,
kind of
think
hard to
of it.
pinpoint.
Well, think of it. What obstacles have you seen in your way? Maybe think of it like that. What were some of the things blocking you from moving where you wanted to go and doing what you wanted to do?
Mm, I'm biting my tongue on this one.
Mm,
Um, um, it's a lot of obstacles in this country. Um, and just I guess the obstacle is accepting things for what they really are
mm-hmm.
and you know, have some clarity on what you're dealing with specifically. Like, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
if you're dealing with a rabbit, you got to know what rabbits eat. If you're dealing
Mm.
with a snake, you got to know what snakes eat. Snakes and
Mm.
rabbits eat two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know what you're dealing with. Um, and maybe that's the obstacle that a lot of us challenge. You got, you know, it's an obstacle because you don't know what you're facing. You don't know, you don't understand what that challenge is.
Mm. Mm.
You know, it's kind
Yeah.
of you got to understand your opponent. You got to study your opponent. Whatever you understand, it's not always an opponent. Opponent, you got to understand your environment,
Mm.
and
Okay.
you know, those obstacles lessen. They dwindle
Yeah.
as you learn the environment and
Mm-hmm.
know how to maneuver through. You know, so that kind of, you know, it's always gonna be obstacles, and obstacles are building blocks. So again, it's kind of hard for me to
Mm.
pinpoint specifically
Mm-hmm.
obstacles now. I understand it could be a specific question,
Mm-hmm.
but it's pretty broad for me
Mm-hmm.
because I don't mind a challenge. I don't mind an obstacle. I don't
Absolutely.
mind
But you like
you know, I
bring it
understand.
on. Like you
Yeah,
like
I'm like,
bring it
well, it's
on.
like, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't an obstacle don't slow me down. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
well, who, you know, it gives me a chance to practice what I've been working on. When
Mm.
I see an
Mm.
obstacle, like, oh, you dare to challenge me?
Yeah. I did.
Obstacle, you know, and I'll
Let's
beat
do
up the
this.
obstacle. Yeah,
That's
I ain't
it.
worried about obstacles. So
I
that
got
that
you.
it's tough for me to answer
Yeah.
that because I see obstacles like, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? You
Yeah.
know, you another one. You want to try me again, Mister
That's yeah.
Obstacle? You know,
Well,
I'm undefeated.
yeah. Now I'll tell you one thing, man. As I've seen you grow through, as from a dad, I have greatly admired, your relationship with your daughter and how that
Thank you.
whole thing evolved. And maybe you could share, was there any learning that you shared from that? Any learnings? Because I know that other men go through similar things sometimes, but you seem to really have had a way to handle it and grow through it.
What's that? Just being a dad?
Being a dad and just how you and your daughter developed such a strong bond and relationship, man. That's rare.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just tried to be consistent. You know,
Mm-hmm.
be the father that my father was to me.
Mm.
You know, that's kind of what you know, my father been around in my life, all my life, and you
Uh-huh.
know, I mimic him, and also I see what I can do better, and
Uh-huh.
you know, and I tell my daughter the same thing because I think I'm pretty good at things. You know,
Uh-huh.
after I get good at things, I'm pretty good. I'm a hell of a guy. But I
Mm-hmm.
tell my daughter, if I ask her right now, I say, who do I want you to be better than? And she'll say, you, daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's right. I was like, but I don't think it's gonna be easy because I'm pretty good.
Uh-huh.
But you still, you know, I still want her to be better than me. And you know, that's the challenge for her. That's
Mm-hmm.
her obstacle. So
Wow.
if I live by example, just like I'm just trying to teach her like how I feel that my father taught me. And a lot of that was just watching. Just a lot of that was just observing. And a lot of times I know that's the best teacher, even for children that's outside of your own,
Uh-huh.
and other people that's watching, and even the haters. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Instead of trying to teach all the time, I feel it's very effective. Both sides are effective, but it's very effective to live. You know
Live the
what you
word.
speak, and yeah, live the
Yeah.
word. And for those that's observing, because you know people learn a lot. People watching. People watching. You know,
Uh-huh.
you never know who's watching, and
Right, right.
you know, I like to live by example. You
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
and a lot of times the people will tell me like, "Hey, man, you said that last time. Last time we talked, you
Uh-huh.
said that before." It's like, "Hey, well, I'm pretty consistent, ain't I?" You know,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
ain't telling no fibs. I'm on track. I'm that's my formula. That's the formula I get through life with. So, you know,
Yeah.
living by example is how, you know, I choose to raise and teach my daughter, and also along with reading this book. And I hope she watching this as well, because I tell her
Yeah.
about, she know
Yeah.
about you.
Well, you just said a mouthful. That idea of living by example, because so many people want to teach and tell you what to do, and they'll
Yeah,
be doing something different.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
so,
that's not in alignment. That's not in harmony, as your book says. Like
yeah.
when your thoughts and actions don't align, you won't be able to create. And that's what I know, like what I was saying earlier
Mm-hmm.
about how I know when I think about things, I know they coming because I know that formula that you spoke on
Mm-hmm.
is very real. Because like I was telling my old lady, I knew what was coming to me because I know my mind was there, and I know everything. I know I was aligned right. I know I was Steph Curry swish. When
Yeah.
you turn around, you know how he turned around before
Yeah.
the
He
ball
shoot
even
the
go in.
ball and walk on
Yeah,
down the court. Like,
yeah. That's what I already
yeah.
knew about a lot of things, a lot of my creations.
Uh-huh.
Period. Now over the years, how long ago we been knowing these? About almost 10 years now, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Harris?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, um, so like I say, I got a good understanding of how this universal thing work. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's on the ring,
Okay. All
universal
right.
law. It's the people at
Yeah.
sea. You
Yeah.
know, uh it works for me now. It's like
Yeah.
it's a tool
It's
now.
a tool.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a tool that I know how to just,
Uh
okay, if I want something, line yourself up with the
huh.
thoughts,
Uh huh.
and boom. Now I just
Yeah.
made my order. I don't need
Yeah.
the
Now,
Google, and I don't
now,
need eBay.
yeah. Now you've studied martial arts, right?
Uh, on my own,
Yeah. Yeah.
not in class, but yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I took a keto for a little
Uh-huh.
while.
No, I was
That's
watching the
keto
way
to
you
go.
line. I was watching the way you lined your hands up.
Oh, well, you know what? I practice like a ninja, man.
Uh-huh.
I wake up early. I do my pull-ups, push-ups, handstands, yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I, I, I'm prepared for whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a good exercise, though.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, and
just
it
like,
shows. Yeah, it
thank you,
shows.
thank you.
Yeah. Now, Bryce, if you look back, you know, in your if you look back from where you are right now,
Mhm.
and say and look back to your younger self, the Bryce of 20 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
Keep doing what you're doing, man. We gonna be dope later.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep
Keep
doing
doing,
what you're doing,
keep
and
going.
keep
Yep.
going.
Keep
You
going.
know,
Keep going and growing. Yeah.
yeah, keep going and growing. That's the
Uh-huh.
that's the best advice, because I wouldn't want to alter anything, but just I like where I'm at. I like my mistakes, man.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't want to. It's no so-called mistake that I've had that is like, man, I wish that never happened. Because again, anything that has so-called been a bad thing turned into a great thing.
Mm.
Um, so I just know it's a process. It's a process. The pain is a process. It's part of the process.
Wow. Yeah.
And for those that avoid pain, you missing out.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you missing out, and you
Yeah.
crippling yourself. It's kind of like a plant that grows inside and not outside, and it never,
Mm.
I've done that before with outdoor plants, and grew them inside, and the stem is weak. It'll
Yeah.
grow up real fast,
Uh-huh.
but then it'll break. It'll break
Okay.
because it grew too quick, and it's a massive plant, but it didn't get enough sunlight.
And
You
then
know,
get the right
it
nourishment.
ain't go.
Yeah.
It didn't go through the process, so now it's
Mm.
weak.
Yeah.
Even though it still grew, it was a tall plant. I'm like, man, these plants growing quick,
Yeah.
but it didn't have enough sunlight, man, and they tilled it over. I came in the house one day, they was all just land, you
Yeah.
know, all lime green. They wasn't even fully green yet,
Yeah.
and they grew too quick, and they tilled it over. They didn't go through the process,
Well,
and
that's
that's what
yeah. That's a
that's
nugget
how.
there.
Thanks, man. That's
Yeah,
that's
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 a
how I look
nugget.
at that. You got to go
Yeah.
through the process, or else you can grow quick, but you go tilt over down the line if you don't, understand what it takes to be durable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won't know until you get knocked over. It's stuff that I didn't expect to fall over until nature took over and knocked it down. Like, I ain't know that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I know something like that's gonna happen,
Yeah.
let me do this
Let me do
and,
that.
and secure
Gotcha.
it a little bit more now because I wasn't expecting that. Now, if you go up there too fast, like I made it to the top and the wind blow,
And you off in a
it's
gully
like,
again. Yeah.
yeah, you ain't
Wow.
gonna know what to do. And
Yeah.
that might be a harder fall if you go too high
Uh-huh.
and come down too hard. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah.
Instead of going, building slow and you fall, it ain't that far of a fall. Like,
Uh-huh.
cool. Well, I survived that fall. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? And let me build up a little bit higher. I've seen that with ants. Ants do that. Ant
Uh-huh.
mound,
Yeah.
a beehive. Bees, they sand grain by sand grain,
Yeah. Wow.
brick by brick.
That's a powerful thought. That's some good stuff that you got. The process. People don't always appreciate the process, and the process is the process. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it takes 9 months for a baby to be born. That's the process.
Yes. That's the process.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's born in 7 months, it's a whole different ball game. And
It's
if it's
premature.
and if it's born in 11 months, it's really a different ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
You gotta
now
trust the process.
trust the process. Now, I'd like you to project yourself ahead. Now, you see the direction that you're going, and you see the process that you've been taking 30, 40 years down the line. What advice would you give from the perspective of being, let's just say, 75, 85 years old? What advice would you give yourself now from where you want to be 40, 50 years from now?
The advice that I would give myself, my future self,
Mm-hmm.
uh, um, it might sound corny. Hey, keep going, man. We
Keep going.
look at me.
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna look like when in 40, 50 years from now.
Yeah.
And I see myself sitting in the king's throne still,
Mm-hmm.
still hold
Mm-hmm.
my position.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
I see myself, taking care of my grandbabies
Uh-huh.
and teaching them everything that I know, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
um, and passing on the information, man. That's what
Uh-huh.
I'm big on now is just passing on information. I wouldn't, my future self, I would just try to, I don't know how much time I would have with my younger self,
Uh-huh.
but I just try to tell them to tell me as much information that I need to know
Uh-huh.
to put us in a better position.
Yes.
You see, and let the young man take care of the old man.
I got you. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
young man work hard now,
Yeah.
so we
Wow.
can be chilling later. So I ain't got to work too hard. Keep
I
working.
got you.
Hey,
Keep
that's what I say. Keep
keep
working.
working. Keep
Keep
working.
working, man, because I don't
Yeah.
feel like doing it at 80. So
Uh-huh.
get
Keep
up and go
working.
on and keep working, man. Make that money so we can have a nice nest egg so I can keep chilling.
All right, man. Keep
So
working
so
and
we're
enjoy the ride.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you keep working, I'm gonna enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
young self keep working, the old me just go sit back and lay back and enjoy all the work you done did for us to have gotten here.
Right.
That's what I
Beautiful.
say to myself. That's the
Right.
advice. There we go.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Bryce, I really enjoyed this. I had, I guess, one question. And now that you're moving in this way, now that you're really following your creative path, now that you're doing, like, you have a beautiful vision of your commercials, of the way you see the world through your camera. What
Thank
is
you.
your, what do you think? I guess two part. What do you think to date has been your greatest victory? And then what's next for Bryce Britton?
Ooh, my greatest victory.
Uh-huh.
Ugh. Greatest victory is self-control.
Ooh, okay. Yes.
And what was the other question?
And what's next for you? What's the next steps? What's on the next agenda for next year, the new year coming up?
Um, just to continue growing. I see myself growing. I see the growth happening. Actually, I'm not trying to slow down the process, but it's like that growth is pulling like a Rottweiler. They don't know how to
Uh-huh.
walk on a leash yet. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
how that growth. I feel it. That growth is pulling,
Uh-huh.
and you know, I'm trying to control it before it get out of hand. And again, that's that self control.
Mm.
Trying not. I don't want to grow too fast. I
Mm.
want to continue to make my mistakes
Uh-huh.
so I can be a more effective self in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Beautiful. And so as we wrap up the interview, anything you want to add, any recommendation, any advice, any thoughts you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, your
Uh-huh.
lifestyle
Uh-huh.
premiere, your underscore lifestyle underscore premiere. I'm also on YouTube. Um, I try to show real life in action and just show the beauty of life in motion while it's actually happening. I think people will enjoy my content. I think it's good. You know, my content is good for like when you just need to sit down and eat a meal real quick and just watch some cool little stuff and
Uh-huh.
then going about your day. So
Uh-huh.
that's my motive with what I do. So you know, that's what I got to say. People check me out. Hope you enjoy the content. Like, share, subscribe.
All right. All right.
and and cop the book, buy the book, 12 Universal Laws, whether for myself or Mr. Harris. It's an excellent book for those that haven't read it. For the youth out there, it's a very good, comfortable read. I don't want to say it's an easy read; it's a comfortable read, and
Uh-huh.
a lot of people can just ingest that book as soon as they pick it up.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a great program today. This has been Success Talk with Bryce Britton. Bryce has shared a perspective of the book and a perspective of his life and how the book has transformed him and how he has faced challenges, overcome them, and is growing and going each and every day. Always knowing that you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have anything you desire. Always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is.